This is the Resolve Podcast. We're talking through biblical truths that help us become resolved to live well. I'm Logan, and with me is Jared. We're going to continue this conversation. It's so important about teaching our kids biblical worldviews, and maybe even ourselves biblical worldviews.
Yep.
Which plainly stated, if you missed it in the last episode, go back and watch it. But plainly stated, just to reiterate, it is the lens in which you view the world and interact with the world. And a biblical one is viewing and interacting with the world based on what Scripture says, which is huge.
Yeah.
So the last episode, we were talking about, you were talking about Disney, how you love Disney. We're Disney people.
What is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, man. We've been working through the classics lately. So we just watched Oliver and Company, and Barrett has been all about it.
Yeah.
He just walks around. Why should I worry?
I can see him doing that.
Oh, dude, it's great. My favorite though is probably Hercules. We haven't got there yet with
Classic.
our kids, but the music, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
So, but then again, now that all Star Wars is Disney.
I've never watched a Star Wars movie. I'm just going to say it right there so that everyone can judge.
We're going to end this episode now. No, I'm just kidding.
I've never... Yeah, I might have seen snippets. I'm not a big movie person. I'll say that. I don't love movies in that I don't love sitting still. And if they could find a way to like make a movie really short into like, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something. I don't know if they've done that.
Well,
but
so
I
like
would watch
like
that.
a TV show.
Yes. So like, but then what's interesting is that I can totally binge TV shows if I'm interested. So I can sit still for that amount of time. But I think movies are just too slow going. I need it like short. Like I would, again, this is outing myself. I would rather just read the Wikipedia page and be like, oh, that's what happens. Wow. I don't need to spend the 2 hours of my life watching that. And that crushes some people that value art.
Oh, yes.
Man, like just give me a minute to read a paragraph and I'm content. I don't need to watch that movie.
That's so funny.
So, but I haven't even done that on Star Wars, so I really know nothing. So I hope we can still be friends after this.
I'll pray about it. Anyway, talking through that, it got me thinking about, you mentioned something last episode. You're saying we don't shy away from these things. It's not that we need to hide away and shelter away from what culture is. And I've heard a number of different speakers that talk about parenting that have talked about that specifically, how we can not embrace culture, but push back against that and use those moments teaching our kids. And so something that Brooke and I are working on with our kids, I can't remember what movie we just watched, but we acknowledged beforehand that there may be some. It was kind of some more crude humor. It may have been the Minions or something like that. But we talked to our kids beforehand, sitting down at this movie and saying, now there may be some unkind things that are said in here. There may be some things that these people do in this movie that are not good. Because we see it, does that mean we need to repeat that behavior? And just taking those moments to, like, not shy away from culture, but to embrace it and to walk our kids through it. Like, we can still consume things in a way that is not harmful to us. And so Brooke and I talk about this concept we picked up from one of the Parent Summit speakers, was the concept of chew and spit. And so she, I can't remember her name. If somebody remembers her name, send me an email. Would love to give her the credit for it. Because obviously it stuck with us a couple years ago, actually, talking about it. But teaching our kids the concept of, like, if you try something, you chew on it, and if it tastes bad, if it is bad, you spit it out. Now, we don't do that at dinner because it's rude. But the concept is, if you're going to encounter things in this world, and if it's not good, get rid of it. And that teaches our kids, it gives our kids tools that as they go and we're not there to filter for them, they know, okay, this doesn't quite match up. So chew and spit this out. This is not good. And so I wanted to kind of encourage that, because sometimes our reaction is to shy away from culture. it is to we're not going to go there anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to watch that anymore. Now, obviously, if it is truly slanderous and terrible, we're not going to watch that. But we can push back against culture in some ways to say, okay, and we'll turn out after the movie's done. What are some things that were good in that movie? What were some things that we didn't like that we wouldn't do? And Brooke is great about doing that with the kids. Me, I'm just enthralled with the movie. I'm like, oh.
Well, you've hit two things there that I think are really important. One is you're training them and preparing them. This is an exercise. The chewing and spitting I did. David is in a chewing and spitting phase, and it's awesome. He doesn't spit. He just opens his lip and lets it fall off, and it's like, this is fantastic. But there's an element.
It's usually like avocado or something.
No,
gross,
he loves Caillou is what it's called. He
Caillou,
loves Caillou.
yes.
But he's just, it's awesome. That parent is great. But it's training them, and the reality is, like, I am not going to be in David's life forever. I cannot be with him 24/7. And so my goal is to prepare him to faithfully follow Jesus when I'm not present. And so that's kind of what this is. It's a training exercise for helping your kids be ready to navigate these things, knowing the questions to ask, knowing what discernment looks like. And I totally agree. There's kind of two stages on this. Some stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, absolutely, we're not going to engage with this at all. And I think there needs to be things on that list. The problem is if that list gets too big, then you limit the opportunity for exercise and discernment and for looking at, okay, what happened here? Like you said, those questions, like what was good and honoring about this? What was not? Like what are things you think, man, this doesn't line up with what the Bible teaches? Like, okay, what about when this character did this? Like, is there something in the Bible you think can speak to that? And the problem is if we expand our list of things we don't want to engage with too big, then we aren't having those conversations when the kids are at home, and then good luck, they're in high school or off to college. And so it is an element of there needs to be, like some exposure with the chew and spit style on engage with some things, but have those conversations because there's so much learning in that experience and preparation.
I've heard it called lawnmower parenting because it used to be helicopter parenting, and now it's lawnmower parenting where we will just plow the way for our kids so they have a nice and easy way to walk through life. But then they don't learn. Like, we learn through adversity. We learn through figuring out how to process through bad things. And so if we're just lawnmowering and manicuring the path for our kids, we are robbing them of the opportunity to grow and develop in the most critical time of their life to do that. So.
And it can honestly be really easy living in the Bible Belt. It can be easy to like have our kids grow up in this perfect manicured Christian environment. And the reality is that they need some exposure to things outside of that, so that they can faithfully follow Jesus into it as they grow as adults. And so I think media is kind of what we're hitting on a ton, but it also is going to go into then preparing them for, okay, you watch a movie, you have this conversation. So then when Barrett's in 3rd or 4th grade and he hears a friend say something, he's had this conversation with you guys at home to where he's able to connect and realize, like, okay, we had a conversation about acting this way, and now I'm seeing it in my friendships. It's not on the TV screen. I'm seeing it at school or whatever, and I have this kind of understanding of, no, that isn't right. Like, we can't act this way. And so there's an element on it's part of our training for discipleship for these kids by engaging with things like that and giving them the questions to ask. And again, that's going to look different at preschool level, younger, elementary, older, but helping train them, how do I navigate? Like, how do I, like David knows how to chew and spit, but how do they know how to do that spiritually?
Right.
And that's a training up on our part.
And I think it's fair to recognize the fact that this is harder to do. Like, this takes a lot of effort because sometimes as parents, we're like, I'm going to put on a show so that I have 20 minutes to just do the dishes with my audiobook and not have to be yelled at by a child, not just to scream and, do all these, not in a bad way, but just the rambunctiousness. Like, let's settle the kids down. Let's put on a show, and the show becomes our babysitter.
I know.
But it takes more effort to sit down as a family and to say, we're going to do this. It takes more effort to go out into the world, and you're at the Perot Museum and you encounter something that you're like, okay, I guess now's the time we have this conversation.
And that's a little on the like tying into what we talked about last time. Like worldview is constantly being developed, whether we're aware of it or not. Like if the child is sat in front of a TV and watching something, like in some way that's influencing their worldview. And so that's the hard part for us as parents is like, we just can't switch off, which is awesome. But it is the reality of like being aware of what's influencing our kids so that we don't miss the opportunity to have those conversations and to redirect them to like, what does the word say about this? That's such an important thing for us to do. I'm excited that we at Parkway Hills, I think across our church, like the word is central to what we do. I think that is awesome. That's encouraging. And that's why, like, again, that is just important that happens in our preschool classrooms to me as it is that it happens in the worship center.
Yeah. So you're going to talk about the curriculum that you guys are doing. I'm excited because just talking with you in the office, hearing about it, also having kids in preschool and elementary. Walk us through your idea of curriculum just here at the church and why you do the things you do.
So we, when I got here, we had preschool doing one of Lifeway's curriculum lines and elementary doing another, and both are solid and good. They come from Lifeway, so that's old school was called the Baptist Sunday School Board.
Yeah.
So we can trust it theologically. It's great, but they were taking kind of two different approaches of teaching. Which meant that our families would have two different lessons. In y'all's case, Barrett would hear one thing on a Sunday and Lila would hear another. And if our goal is to help parents have these faith talks, the God moments, like if we're trying to equip parents to do that, we're already making it slightly difficult and that you've got two different things going on. The reality is, depending on the age of your kids, you're going to have different conversations with them anyways. But if it's a different story, right off the bat, we've made it a challenge for you. And so we've brought back alignment to where we're matching preschool, elementary, doing the same curriculum line. And so we had kind of a conversation that involved myself, some of my teachers. I spoke with multiple colleagues at other churches on, okay, we've got these two. I would love to not change everyone. Let's just change one set of our teachers. Which way do we go? And the more we talked and prayed about it and kind of filtering into this conversation, we went with the Bible Studies for Life curriculum that preschool were doing and pulled elementary onto that. And the reason for that is it spends a month at a time working through, they call them 10 core biblical concept areas. It's basically doctrines.
Yeah. And
so they'll spend a month teaching Bible stories that will help kids grow in their understanding of the doctrine of God or the doctrine of creation, the doctrine of, they call it community and world. And so these 10 different doctrine areas will spend a month on each of those. And so it really forms into this conversation we're having on biblical worldview, because coming up, like we'll have a month that we'll spend on God in September. And then October, we're looking at the Word. And so the kids' understanding of the Bible, I mean, that's awesome. That's so exciting. And what's exciting about that is the curriculum is written in such a way to where my son David at 2, he will be hearing things that are on his level for what he can comprehend about what's true about the Bible. And what David can comprehend about what's true about the Bible is different to what Lila can. Mm-hmm. And then what Lila can is different to what Barrett can. And so it kind of builds on itself to where our youngest preschoolers will hear like a little snippet of this doctrine truth. And as they get older, it kind of expands based on what they can understand. So it's going to help us in terms of parents being on the same page with having kids within kids ministry doing the same lesson. But even if the lesson is slightly different, you know, for elementary this upcoming week, we're looking at the 3 lost parables. For preschool, it's just the lost son. So even though there's some difference and some overlap, it's still teaching on the same doctrine. And so that's what I'm excited about, is it will allow parents to have conversations about these doctrines leading into biblical worldview, where it's one conversation with the whole family instead of what did you learn today? What did you learn today?
Well, and it's cool because if your kids are close in age like mine are, they feed off each other. Mm-hmm. And so if they're going to be learning the same things, they'll kind of like banter back and forth with each other. And then Brooke and I are able to jump in with it. And so it really does become a full family versus, okay, Barrett, what did you learn today? And then Lila can't wait to share what she was learning today. So she'll interrupt, right? Instead, it's all the same conversation, which is really cool.
I love that. And I think my hope is that it makes it easier for parents. I think that's, again, we alluded to, like, parenting is hard. Yeah. I'm so tired. Like we talk about, we had,
Cue that.
Magnolia, my daughter, was born the 2nd of June, and VBS started the 9th.
Oh, my gosh.
And day 2 of VBS, I got here, and, like, I had 2.5 hours sleep. and I'm pumped up on stage, ready to go. And it's like, that's the season of life we're living.
Ugh.
And parenting just, it's always tiring. It just looks different while you're tired. And that's why I'll say too, like, if you make it on a Sunday morning, that's a win. I don't care what time you get here. Like, if you make it and you're walking through the doors at like 11:15, but you made it, dude,
Yeah.
good job. You know, like, I know you'd like to be earlier, but like, just, it's hard. And so I'm excited that we're trying to take this step to try and make it easier to have conversations. I love the way the curriculum is written, as I kind of alluded to. So, for example, if it's teaching on God and love, then like this week, our story, the younger preschoolers, their truth might be something simple like God loves me. And then it might go to like the middle preschoolers might be like God loves me even when I sin. Or then it might be like God loves people even when they sin. And it just gradually is expanding so that the kids are being kind of pushed and stretched in terms of the biblical worldview, but in a way that they're ready and able to handle. And I'm really excited because I think that will help our families have more conversations at home based on whatever the kind of biblical worldview concept, whatever the doctrine is we're focusing on that month. That should provide a month's worth of conversations on the way home from church that can be had on kind of forming and shaping the whole family together, which is awesome. I'm so excited about that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And we got a couple things that we are going to try and do. We have some existing things we do already to try and help, but that's one area that I've needed to do better at. And our kids will, in theory, get given a take-home paper every week. Now, that's like the baseline strategy of a church, recognizing that the take-home paper, like maybe 50% of them make it out the doors of the church. And my last church, our baptistry, was in like the atrium kind of main area. So like I would find take-home papers floating in the baptistry. Like you'll find them on the floor of the car. Like it's a paper airplane somewhere in a trash can. Like so that's a strategy, but it can't be everything. But there is an element of when you pick your kids up, they will have a paper that will have on an activity you guys could do at home to enforce this kind of worldview. They'll have some scriptures you could read, like one suggestion per day that could be simple as like, pull it up and read it on the way to school. Before you pray when you drop your kid off at school, just ask a question based on that. There's something little that's continuing from Sunday to Sunday, the formation of that worldview. So there'll be a paper that they could get that would work with those things. We've got a couple new strategies that I'm really excited about that are going out in September. And one is that for elementary, so grades 1 through 5, we have purchased 3 months worth of a devotion magazine. And so all 1st through 5th graders will have a devotion magazine, which gives them a daily activity to do, tied to either the story that was on Sunday or, again, something that helps enforce that aspect of worldview. And so they'll have a daily thing to do, all 1st through 5th graders, September through November. And so they'll get given those a month at a time. And so my encouragement for our families is to try them. See for your kid if that helps them get into the routine of having a quiet time, of journaling, having a conversation. What did you read about? How's that going? And to continue that. And then another avenue we're going to be doing is an email that will go out to all kids ministry families that has something really short. I think the reality for me is that early on in my ministry, man, I would produce these like amazing like booklets that would be each week. Like, here's all this stuff you can do as a family. And the reality is, maybe 5% of families can do that.
Right.
But for a lot of us, it's like, we're just trying to make it. Like, we're just trying to, like, the little wins are so significant. And so we'll have an email that will go out that will have like a couple of questions on a really simple activity or just something that's like, you can read these questions on the way to Chewy's at lunch. Other Mexican restaurants are available. I like Chewy's. But you can read, like in the car on the way home, whoever's not driving could pull up this email and could ask these questions, and it gives you a head start.
That's
or
so cool.
on Tuesday, here's a verse you could read and a question. Like just something simple. To try and get that digitally in, because you can't put your phone in the baptistry, you know? And so if you, I mean, you could, but
You could,
yeah.
but it's probably not advised.
No, it's not. It's not. We'd have to send a guy in a chicken suit to go get it. But we, if you went at VBS, you don't know what that means. But we're going to send it out digitally too, because recognizing that that's an easier way of maybe getting it in people's hands. And so we, on our side in kids ministry, with this shift, want to try and do some things to help. We think the curriculum shift will be a big help, but we need to put some emphasis into what are we sending home for you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm real excited about that. I'm looking forward to it. And on a personal level, I'm also excited that now I am teaching what my son is learning every week. And so I am upstairs first hour leading our large group time, which is awesome. And then I'm going downstairs second hour, which is really, I love working with preschoolers, but I just didn't get the chance to do it much last year. So I'm going downstairs and leading our wiggle worship time.
Wiggle
worship. I stole the
time.
name from a church in Tennessee that they said on a podcast. I was like, yep, I'm taking that. And it's awesome because I'm
Because it
getting
can't
to
sit still.
I know. Well, yeah, for real. And I'm with them. And so we're going, upstairs I'm teaching the same story, and then downstairs I'm kind of adapting it to be at the level of our preschoolers, but I'm getting to teach that same story. And so even for me, I know what my son is learning every week, and I'm preparing for that. And so I'm in a better place even for me as a dad to have those conversations. And so for those of our parents that are serving in kids ministry, this will also help them in their parenting too. So real excited about that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to kind of go over?
I think just encouraging our parents. I mean, if you kind of left with an encouragement last time, if you're listening to this conversation, if you're thinking through these things, then you're already doing a great job. You're acknowledging that you are the primary disciple maker, that it is us as the church to try and come alongside and help you. But if these things are on your heart, like that's a win in and of itself. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that there has been such a shift in terms of the broader church in the last kind of 10, 15, 20 years of it is far less frequent that people bring their kids to church to be discipled and just kind of trust us with it. It is much more on parents like, I don't know what I'm doing, but will you help me figure it out? And I don't know what I'm doing. And you know, like this is my job, but like that's the reality is
we can
like,
think about it on a theoretical level.
Yeah.
But when you're boots on the ground, you're up at
so no,
3
David,
a.m.
quit tearing your Bible up, dude. Like we're reading this story and having a wonderful time together. You know, like no, the tractor isn't that. And so like it's hard. But so if you're thinking through these things, if you're trying, like, and it's as you said, like just embrace the awkwardness. Like if you try to do any kind of new rhythm or new routine, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be awkward. If you, and here's also one thing, like, so I started out, I didn't start going to church until I was about 12. I started serving in kids ministry probably about 15 or 16. When I took my first full-time staff position, I guess I was 23, 24. I don't know. It feels like a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
No, it wasn't. But even as my first staff position, there were kids in my ministry who knew more about the Bible than me. And I just had to own that. Like, because these kids had just been soaking it up since they were little, and I had not. And so as a parent, you might also be feeling that on like, my kid knows more about, what if they ask me a question? Like, that's awesome. That's great. Like, they're going to ask questions. There's going to be times you don't have an answer. That's okay. You tell them that. You know, you tell them, man, I don't know. Let's try and find this out. I'm going to go read my Bible and see what it says. I'm going to go and talk to, like, Miss Debbie or Mr. Jared. I'm going to go and talk to Pastor Joe. Like, let's figure this out. And that's totally okay. So don't shy away from asking the question because you're worried about what your kids will say. Embrace that.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit it too. The best thing you can do in this is just to be following Jesus yourself. The whole more is caught than taught is so relevant with kids in that they are desiring authenticity. And so the best thing you can do in leading them is just continue to press in yourself.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I think my encouragement to worldviews aren't shaped overnight.
No.
They're consistent. They're consistently being formed, like you said. I was talking with my buddy Taylor the other day, actually, about just parenting and trying to do just small, since you're a Frozen 2 fan, just take the next right step. Josh quotes that all the time, and every time I'm like, into the unknown. Yeah. But just do small little inputs. And because Taylor's a finance guy, I was like, it's kind of like investing in the stock market. Like, time in the market, even if you put a little bit in, grows so much over time. And so that's why it's huge for young parents with young kids to start those little routines now, because that input goes forever. So it's not awkward for my kids because we started when they were born, doing these little routines. So it's normal for them. They've never known anything different, versus trying to like, oh, they're 8, they're 10 years old now. We got to do something now. Start when they're young, and it just pays dividends over time. And if you didn't get to start when they were young, just start putting in a little bit at a time. and it pays off over time. Like
Yeah.
that investment, small investments over time are going to add up like crazy for the future of your family, the future of your kids. It's huge.
And so, I mean, the world's a scary place. There's so much going on that's shaping and forming our kids, but the word gives clarity and purpose to what's happening. And so, yeah, like you said, if you can start it when they're young, great. If you feel like you've missed the boat, you haven't. Start now. It'll be awkward, it'll be difficult, but it'll be worth it. So
it's so good.
Yeah.
Jared, thanks, man.
Yeah, man, it was a long commute from England today, but I'm glad to get to be here.
So glad you came. Yeah.
But
man, I mean it. Our church is blessed to have you here. I'm blessed as a parent that you are pastoring my kids. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for the intentionality of what you're putting into these things. And I do feel like it's a partnership of like we at home are doing our part, and we can trust that the church is doing whatever they can to help our kids grow in their faith and their walk and their worldview. That's huge. So just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for sitting down this morning and
I appreciate that.
Doing this together. So
yeah.
Again, with you guys, I hope it was beneficial to you. We talked about several practical steps that you can take. Whatever age your kids are, just embrace the awkward, because it's awkward at first, no matter what age your kid is. But embrace the awkwardness of it and just start doing something with your kids once a week. If you can do it every day, that's awesome. But like Jared said, if you're doing something, you're showing up to church on Sunday morning, that's huge, and you're doing a good job. So hear that encouragement. Keep walking with the Lord, and we can help our kids do the same. Yeah. So, Jared, thanks, man.
Thank you, and reach out. I mean,
yes,
reach out to me, reach out to Miss Debbie. We'd love to help you. We've got resources we can help guide you towards in terms of how to engage kids from 2 years old with this stuff. And
awesome.
So we're here for you guys.
Cool. All right, we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Our deepest desire is that you would know Jesus and walk with him daily. If you want to know more about what that might look like, you can text PH Life to 77411. If you'd like to know more about Parkway Hills, visit our website at parkwayhills.org. We'll see you next time on the Resolved Podcast.